Are you thinking of moving to Redlands, California? Well, if you are, in this video, I'm gonna be going over the pros and the cons of living in Redlands, California. I'm gonna be giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you definitely wanna stay tuned because at the end of this video, I'm gonna share a con that's not really talked about, right? It's kind of just one of those brushed off things, but it's definitely a need to know. So stay tuned because we're gonna get after it right now. If this is your first time to this channel and you really want to know everything that there is about living, eating, breathing, possibly playing in Redlands, California, then subscribe below and tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Redlands, California. Now, my name is Jonathan. We get calls, emails, texts every single day from people just like you looking to make their move, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're deciding to move in 9 days or possibly 90 days, you could always give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom down below so we can help you make that smooth move to Redlands, California. Now let's really jump into Redlands, right? Well, what does Redlands really have to offer us? What is Redlands really known for? Jonathan, give us some insight. I got you. So Redlands, California was once known as a naval orange capital of the world. Not the nation, the world, right? So that's pretty impressive right there. It is a very first, if you've never been to Redlands, full disclosure, beautiful city. It is a very beautiful city, a lot of rich history, and it's also a very quiet city. So that's a big plus right there. You know, if you're looking for that kind of slower town vibe, you know, Redlands might not be a bad option for you here in Southern California. Now, yes, it does have a lot of rich history. Now, fun fact, right? The oldest home ever built in Redlands was back in 1858. Ooh, that is some time ago. Now, that's a famous Barton house and is actually the oldest surviving house still in Redlands, California, which is another little neat feature for you to know. But it also does host America's favorite Victorian house, and that is the Maury Mansion. And as you may have seen, you know, in some commercials, TV shows, and even movies, the Maury Mansion house is a beautiful, spectacular home. It just is. It's an amazing, gorgeous home. So that is, you know, another neat features about Redlands, California. You know, just a little need to know there. Now, population sits a little bit under 75,000 people. So it is kind of more of a mid to larger size city, but it has that small town feeling. So again, that's a really neat feature of Redlands. If you're looking kind of more of a slower pacer type of life, it's a great area to be. Now, there's a lot of different type of outdoor amenities, which I definitely want to save a lot of them for the pros, but I'll tell you, especially if you already watched my vlog tour on Redlands, California, definitely want to check that out. You know, I introduced you to the Lincoln Memorial Shrine at the very beginning of that vlog tour. Well, you know, that's one of the options you could always go see if you're deciding to visit Redlands, California, because there's a lot of monuments and statues within Redlands, and again, it's just part of that really rich history in Redlands. Now, you could always check out as well the Redlands Bowls, where they host all types of you know, summer concerts. Really, that's when you really want to go. It's actually a really fun place to be. So if you're just, you know, if you're going to be in the area during the summertime, check out the Redlands Bowl, where they do host those concerts. It's really fun. They have a bunch of venues and vendors, so just a really neat spot for you. Now, for my beer lovers, I can't forget about you, because, you know, there's all these different types of beer people are trying to explore nowadays. You can't forget about Hangar 24 craft brewery within Redlands, California. So just, you know, threw that in there for you guys because I know you're out there and you're probably watching right now. Let's not forget about the most populous area within Redlands, and that's the historic downtown Redlands area, right? Well, that place is just amazing. So much to do, amazing stores. They have beautiful murals and paintings everywhere. Again, it just kind of shows its history and kind of shows, you know, really how Redlands really is. Now, you definitely want to check out downtown Redlands area. Again, in my vlog tour, it's just a really neat spot, and there's so much to do. Some amazing restaurants there as well. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into your pros and your cons of Redlands, California. Definitely wanna kind of give you guys the insight of Redlands. So without further ado, let's go jump into pro number 1. Now, pro number 1, it's pretty simple and straightforward. It has beautiful scenery. The beautiful scenery here is purely amazing. Redlands is definitely known for its natural beauty. It just is, right? Including the San Bernardino Mountains and the many parks that it does host and the green spaces throughout the city. It's just a great, beautiful city. So that's kind of straightforward right there. Let's jump on to pro number 2. So pro number 2, numero dos, of living in Redlands, California. It does have great weather. So yes, the weather, it is pretty great in Redlands. So Redlands definitely has a warm kind of Mediterranean climate with plenty of sunshine throughout the year. So that's definitely something to consider if you're looking to move to the Redlands area, is that it does have great weather, you know, majority of the year. There's very few months, very short time span that it does actually rain and, you know, doesn't have that beautiful California sunny weather. So that right there is gonna cover pro number 2. Now, pro number 3, it's not gonna be as quick as pro number 1 and pro number 2, but that is gonna be the affordable cost of living within Redlands, California. Now, I'm gonna take my time to kind of explain what do I mean by affordable cost of living, right? So the cost of living, I'm really covering overall spectrum of Redlands, California. So that includes, you know, your public transportation, your foods, your goods and services, housing, medical, right? I'm talking about overall everything. Now, Redlands, California, it's actually a really great place when it comes to cost of living, right? It's much lower than many of the other cities within California, such as San Francisco, right? Los Angeles, San Diego, et cetera, et cetera. Now, while it is over the national average, it's still below, kind of hovers right at the state of California average. So that's one big thing to consider, is that the cost of living is pretty affordable when it comes to comparing it to other similar cities of its size within California. So that's why we're naming that as pro number 3. Now, pro number 4 of living in Redlands, California, it is going to be the schools. Now, Redlands, California definitely has some great schools, right? It has severely highly ranked schools within Redlands, including the University of Redlands. Say, hey, you know, if you're looking to move there for schooling or whatever the case may be, or you probably want your children to have some good education, know that Redlands, California does have some great education and some great schools. Now, when we look at these schools, right, what really ranks some really great schools, or what gives them a rating of A, and, you know, instead of a B or a C, or a 7 out of 10 versus a, you know, 10 out of 10. Well, we kind of look at the overall spectrum of what the schools have to offer, whether it's student to teacher ratio, right, the academics, how's the sports life, everything. So Redlands actually ranks really great when it comes to schools. So that is why we're naming that as pro number 4. Now, pro number 5, pro numero 5, if those of you are watching that's in Spanish, that is number 5. Now, I've kind of already discussed this a little bit kind of in the intro, and that is the community events within Redlands, California. Very community friendly area. So if you are looking to move to Redlands, just know it is very community friendly, and, you know, it has a strong sense of community within the Redlands, you know, area. So that's one of the cool things of that, right? You know, it does have host many festivals, events throughout the year. So that's just a really cool thing, right? Including the Redlands Bicycle Classic, which is really cool, right? Especially if you are, you know, a cyclist. And again, I mentioned the Redlands Bull Ride Summer Music Festival. That's another big neat feature of living in Redlands, California. So again, right there, community events. So that is really the 5 pros out of living in Redlands. Now, I got one more for you, so, you know, you want to stay tuned, because let's jump into pro number 6. Now, pro number 6, and this is the final pro of living in Redlands, California, and that is going to be its location. Now, what about its location? Well, it's situated really in the heart of Inland Empire, which is just a really rapidly growing metropolitan area, right? here in Southern California. So that's a really great thing to know. It is located just 10 miles east of San Bernardino, and it's really close to major highways such as the I-10 and the I-215, right? Making it just extremely convenient for you to access nearby cities such as Riverside, California, and also Los Angeles, California. So that's another great feature of Redlands, California, is that it is in a really great location. So that's gonna cover all the pros of living in Redlands, California. Now let's really jump into your cons. Now let's jump into your veggies, right? And let's kind of see how we can compare and contrast the pros and the cons to see if Redlands is really a place for you. So let's jump into con number 1. So con number 1, here we are, just for you to know. Now, this is kind of pretty much statewide throughout California, but I definitely want to bring it up within Redlands, and that is the traffic. So the traffic in Redlands, it gets pretty bad. So you can experience heavy traffic, you know, especially during rush hours and on the weekends, most definitely, but particular on the major highways driving through Redlands that run through the city. You can expect to have some heavy traffic. So that's always something to consider, you know, especially if you're moving to the Redlands area, is that you will have some heavy traffic and you will be stuck in your car for some time trying to get either to work or get back home, or probably to a grocery store. Is that you're gonna more than likely run into some heavy traffic. So again, that is why we are naming that as con number 1. Jumping into con number 2. Now, con number 2 of living in Redlands, California, that is going to be its limited public transportation, right? Now, while Redlands does have a bus system, the public transportation, it is pretty limited. The options are limited if you're, comparing to larger cities. So that's also one thing to consider if you're looking to move to the Redlands area, is that the limited transportation there compared to like Riverside, California and Los Angeles, California, it's not there, right? Yes, you do have that bus transportation, but more than likely if you're living in Redlands, you will more than likely need a car to commute in and around the city of Redlands, California. So that's why we're naming, limited public transportation as con number 2. Now let's jump into con number 3. Now, con number 3 of living in Redlands, California, and also your final con, again, it's not really talked about, not really known about. It's just one of those things that people kind of just say, hey, let's just move to Redlands, and not even consider, right? And that is going to be its limited job opportunity. So yes, limited job opportunity. If you're looking to move to Redlands, more than likely you're going to be commuting outside of Redlands to your everyday work, right? Unless you work remote, just know that you're more than likely going to be moving or driving 30-45 minutes to get to your area of designation for work, right? Because it is a relatively, again, kind of smaller, mid-sized, smaller city. I said mid to large, but it is kind of mid-sized, smaller city, right? And so the job opportunities are just not there compared to other cities similar to its size. Also, the location of Redlands kind of makes it a little bit harder for job opportunity growth to be there. So that is something always to consider if you're looking to move to the Redlands area. Now that's going to cover all the overview of the pros and the cons. I really do hope this was helpful. Overall, Redlands can be a great place to live for those of you who love that natural beauty, right? So if you love natural beauty, Redlands is definitely going to be the place for you. And it does have a strong sense of community. So if you are looking for a strong sense of community, pride of ownership, Redlands, California is definitely going to be the place for you. Again, the cost of living compared to, these other major cities is another big plus. However, those who prioritize, job opportunities over the easy access, to public transportation, you might find that Redlands is probably not the best fit for you. However, it's definitely one of those things to consider because it definitely has a lot of great pros. Yeah, it does have some cons, but overall, it's just a really great city. And it's actually rated an A- on niche.com, which is just another way to grade cities overall based on a lot of whole variables. So that right there is going to cover the pros and cons of living in Redlands, California. Thank you for watching Living in South California.